Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with our live Shop Talk number 10, where we are going to be talking about my review of the Jetson Nano after using it for 1 month. And I think maybe the intro has cued you in a little bit as far as what my experience has been. And what I wanted to do was just kind of talk to you guys a little bit today about what it's been like playing around with this thing for about a month. And so hope you guys will ask some questions, and we'll kind of catch up with some other business on this channel. But I will say the bottom line is trying to get this Nano to do what I want has been a rather frustrating experience, but it's so exciting and it is so incredible, the power that it has and what it does. You just don't want to give up. And so it has been a fairly intense month as I've been trying to get this thing figured out. So I will need you guys to pour yourself a nice big mug of iced coffee. I believe down in the chats I saw some rebels out there drinking iced tea. Well, tea's okay as long as you don't put sugar in it, okay? Iced tea, iced coffee, either one is acceptable. And get ready, because we're going to be talking about the Jetson Nano today, and a little bit about what my experience has been. And I will say, first of all, that it has been probably one of the most challenging projects that I've ever done. And the reason that I think it's so challenging is if you guys get an Arduino, and I have an Arduino, I'm trying to think, usually I've got Arduinos laying around on my desk. I don't see one right now, but if you have an Arduino and I have an Arduino, we pretty much have the same Arduino, right? So if I show you a command and you type in the command, then that command is going to work. But it's a little bit different with the Jetson Nano, and the thing is that the Jetson Nano has some very, very highly specialized packages on it and software, and things get a little bit more confusing because, as we talked about in our earlier review of the Jetson Nano, it has 128 cores, and so it's like 128 microprocessors that are all operating in parallel. And for you to exploit the power of those parallel processors, you have to have very specific software. And so to utilize the power of those processors on the Jetson Nano, you have to have a very specific version of Python running with a very specific version of NumPy, running with a very specific version of OpenCV and TensorFlow and all these different packages. And so kind of like the nice thing is that when you download the image card for the Jetson Nano from the NVIDIA website, they have all the right packages put together in a package, and then you download it onto your computer, and so then it has all the right versions. But then if you're fooling around with it and start doing something very quickly, you get it configured in a way that it doesn't work right. And so what is the first thing that I've learned with this is that you've got to be very, very careful and very cognizant of the version of the software that you're using, and you don't just go in there and randomly upgrade from one version of OpenCV to another version of OpenCV. Another problem that I really had was that, I'm kind of like comfortable with Python, and so I want to do my development on the Jetson Nano with Python, and then right off the bat there's not on there like a Python integrated development environment, and you're using just a text editor. Well, if you get used to writing Python code, you want a real development environment that'll highlight your text and help you fill things out and stuff like that. And so first thing I wanted to do was install an integrated development environment for Python, and what I found is I could install it but then I could not get that environment to work with the packages that came on the Nano. And then if I tried to install those packages under my development environment, they weren't the right ones to work with the Nano. And so I spent a good part of the last month just trying to get the Nano with a good Python editor that I could write code in. Okay, the second thing that I found is that this is really a lot of work to get this thing going. And so one of the things is, like, if you go to the tutorials, there's just a lot of type this command, this command, this command, this command, this command, and a lot of you typing commands that they're feeding you, and you really not understanding all of this stuff of what are you doing? What does the command mean? What if I wanted to do it myself? So they're giving you commands that work, but they're not explaining it. So after working on it for quite a bit of time, I finally got all the demos up and working where I could do the face recognition and the image recognition, all that stuff. And then, man, that starts getting you so excited when you can see what the Nano can really do. You start getting very excited and you start to want to learn more. Okay, you start getting very excited and you want to learn more. So I kind of got to that point that I had the reviews working, or the sample programs working, and that really got me excited, where I wanted to learn more. And one of the things that makes me so excited about the Jetson Nano, I will show you the thing here, is, you know, it does all the things that you think about with artificial intelligence and all the things that you think about with machine learning and all of those really exciting things. But what's different about the Jetson Nano is it actually has the GPIO pins. Like, if you think about the digital write and analog write and digital read pins on an Arduino that you can write to or read from, those are on the Jetson Nano. And so what that means is you can do your machine learning, you can do your artificial intelligence, but then you can use that to make decisions and make a motor move, or make a servo move, or be incorporating data from sensors. And so you have a way to not just have artificial intelligence, but to gather information from sensors in the real world and then affect change on the real world through stepper motors or servos or things like that. And that's what just has me so excited about this thing. It just very exciting. It has motivated me not to give up. And a little bit of the frustration with the demos that come with it, and the demos that NVIDIA put together, they're really for someone that already has a PhD in machine learning. They're not something that you can really learn from. So I say, oh wow, look at that, that's the coolest demo I've ever seen, but I don't have any ability to change that. I don't have any ability to make it mine. I don't have any ability to incorporate my own ideas into it. Now, what I will say is, I think I sort of cracked the nut, and I actually am to the point that I am able to start developing things on my own. And the good news about that is, if I can do it, then I can teach you. And so I would say that I am getting very excited about putting together a tutorial series on this that I think I can step you through, and I think that I can teach it to you, because I kind of had that breakthrough moment where I now have a Python environment installed, and I now can use libraries that I can bring into Python, and then I can start writing programs that do what I want it to do and not just copy someone else's program. So that's why I put the clouds. I just feel like I've really reached that breakthrough moment. So let's see what comments you guys are making. Joe, coffee tip you might like, I got refillable pods for the Keurig. Yeah, I am really looking into that. Some of you guys have been sending me coffee pods for the Keurig, little coffee pods. Thanks, really appreciate it. Hey, appreciate you guys that are supporting me over on Patreon too. That really helps me keep this stuff going. And you know, there's a lot of gear I'm buying. I really need some new computer equipment, and so appreciate you guys that are helping me out on Patreon. Look down in the link, you can go over there. Look down in the description, there's a link to my Patreon account. And also, I want to kind of start talking to you guys about whether there's some interest in me doing a series on the Jetson Nano, and it's sort of like artificial intelligence for the complete beginner. What I want to do is I want to take a guy that is smart and hardworking and wants to learn, but doesn't know anything about artificial intelligence, and take you through it step by step, so you're not just wandering around in the wilderness like I spent the last month. That's kind of what I'm interested in. Yeah, so I would like to get a Keurig right now. I would really like to get the Keurig system. I would like to get the little pods. Yep, I think you are and I are thinking the same, Joe. You can even put tea in them. Hey, that sounds good. Okay, Gary, how are you doing? Thomas, hi. Akshot, let's do this. Yes, sir. Prince and Moore, hi. Okay, a bunch of you guys checking in. Hello from Massachusetts with coffee. Okay, very good. Can you turn off the flashing background? Oh, you didn't like my lightning in the background? Well, man, that is my month for the last, that was my month, was going through that wilderness, going through that storm for you guys to try to figure out all this stuff. Okay, man, if you're not getting notifications on your subscribe, go to my channel on the subscribe, make sure that you hit the little bell, and then you will get notifications. Did you install the NVIDIA SDK? Yes, okay, but there's different NVIDIA SDKs, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make sure that we're operating on the same one. So I've had like 2 of you order a Jetson Nano. I want to see, are there more of you willing to get into this? The basic Jetson Nano is $100. If you get the tricked out system, that I have here, it was a couple of $100, but I bought, the little wireless keyboard. I got the Wi-Fi module, the little camera. $200, you get all the bells and whistles. Probably you're going to need at least 150 because you're going to need the Nano. You really, 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 really need the fan. You need a good power supply, and you need some sort of camera. You could use a webcam. You can see that I'm using the version 2 of the Raspberry Pi camera. You could get by just with a webcam if you already have one, a little USB webcam. But are you guys up for this, right? Are you up for learning artificial intelligence? Are you up for learning this Jetson Nano? If enough of you are interested, I will begin to put a series together. Like I say, there's been a couple of guys that have ordered one, and I don't want to leave them hanging, but I need to see some other people. And the focus continues to vex me. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I do use the NVIDIA SDK. That was a question. Keith says, if you want to do Python I/O on the Nano, you can try Blinka from Adafruit. It's a very nice package. Yeah, but again, you're kind of then, like, you've got the Jetson Nano development going this way, and now you're off here on a side branch. And so we've just got to be careful, and we got to make sure that we're going down a path that we can get to the end. And that's the thing that I'm kind of a little bit afraid of. But I'm going to show you some stuff that I've done in a minute that I coded up from scratch on my own, not using someone else's demo program, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm trying to get some of your question. Compile for Nano, run the app. Okay, there are people that are building their own environments and then compiling it for the Nano and building it. I'll tell you, that's beyond what I really feel comfortable doing. So I want to get a core install from NVIDIA, and then I want to develop on that platform, and that's kind of the direction that I am going. Let's see, I've got Shaquille. Hey Paul, big fan of yours. Great. I hope you keep churning out those tasty tech videos. Okay, I hope so too. I hope so too. You guys give me some encouragement there. Would you start any series of machine learning tutorials? That's what we're talking about. That's sort of like what I envision is AI for the absolute beginner based on the Jetson Nano, and then we start developing projects where we're interacting with the real world, and rather than just doing abstract things on the computer, actually start kind of building real projects. Okay, that's what I want to do. Hey Andy, good to see you. Just monitoring here. We'll go back to Arduino tutorial way above my level. Al, how are you doing? Mr. Al Ludicky. Yes, the most excellent Al Ludicky. Okay, my Nano project is an autonomous push lawnmower. Oh man, be careful about that. Getting power equipment automated, there's a lot of ways that could go wrong. PyImage Search has done some great articles. Yeah, they have, and I've kind of been watching what they're doing. He gets to the point though, and he doesn't install OpenCV. And the problem for me is that I see, again, he's like a brilliant, crazy, insane genius. Like, The problem is, though, he's like so far out there smart. Am I really able to learn from him? And one of the problems that I see with what he did was he kind of stopped and didn't do OpenCV. And if I'm going to teach someone who's new, I can teach you to write programs in OpenCV. Okay, and then you can actually be programming real artificial intelligence stuff and then gradually move into the more complicated stuff. But I see OpenCV as the path to actually teaching you, and he kind of skipped that. But I will tip my hat. PyImage Search guy is way smarter than I would ever hope to be. Okay, interested in learning AI. Karun, good. I think 100 euros is a bit much for me, so maybe I will consider cheaper alternatives. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Mike Rubino has the Jetson Nano. Okay, well, we need to start thinking about what to do with it. If I did a series, the first thing I would do is I would show you how to download and install the software and just basically get to the point that you're booting the desktop. Let's see if I can show that here. Okay, so you see I have a desktop booted up here. You're actually looking at the real thing here. You are looking at the Jetson Nano, and you can see it looks like a lot like a Windows desktop. You can see here we could go to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com. Okay, and we can call up that website, and then we can come over here and we can open up a spreadsheet, we can open up a word processor, we can open up something that's like PowerPoint. And so you see you've got all the things that you sort of would think of in a Windows machine. Of course, this is a Ubuntu desktop, but you could do all the things that you would normally sort of associate with a desktop computer. So I would get you installed where you had an environment that we could start developing on. Then what I would do is, and if you guys already know Linux, don't hate me, but remember we need to, like, what's our motto? Leave no man behind, or leave no woman behind. Don't leave anyone behind. So the first thing that I would do is we want to kind of get out of this Windows environment and we want to start operating in a terminal, where we would be learning the Linux commands like ls shows me what is in my directory. I could go cd and / that takes me to my home, my root directory. ls shows me what's there. I can do change directory into the squiggly, which takes me back to my home directory, which I can list. So you see, we got to get good at kind of navigating in the terminal, so you're not sitting there with those doofus folders and that goofy graphical user interface, but we're operating from the terminal, because there's a lot of stuff that you just can't do from the folders. So we got to learn how to work our way around a Linux system. So that is the first thing that I would teach you. And the next thing that I would teach you is, first of all, install the Python environment that I am using, because this was my biggest problem, was to get a good Python environment, which you can see that I have here. And you see how it nicely formats the code, it highlights things it understands, it helps you debug. It's a really good environment, but it's working with that Python and library install that comes with the NVIDIA SDK. So you're sitting there and you're developing code on that environment that NVIDIA put together. And they're like a lot smarter than I am. They're way smarter than I'm ever going to be. So I need to work in their environment, but I need some code that will allow, I need some environment that will allow me to start writing code. And so this is a program that I wrote. Okay, you can see that maybe it's 30, 40 lines. Let's see, let's actually look. It looks like it's 87 lines long, but a lot of that is comments. But you can see that I'm importing libraries, and then I'm setting my camera up, and then I am setting some variables, and then I have a while loop, and then I'm doing this stuff. So you can see that this is kind of like just a simple Python program. So I would teach you how to install the software. I would teach you a little bit of Linux. I would teach you simple Python, like maybe 5 or 6 lessons on Python, and then we would jump in and we would start doing some of this machine learning. Okay, let's see, do you guys have any do you have any comments here? Okay, Mike Rubino has the Jetson Nano. Does OpenCV be used only on Nano? No, OpenCV will run on anything. The hard thing is to have a Python environment on the Nano with the right OpenCV so that you're taking advantage of the processing power, those 128 processors. Because if you just dumbly go in and install OpenCV, it's just going to run it on a CPU. It's not going to be running it on that parallel mode. How many times faster is a Jetson than a standard current 8-core PC? Film Factory, that's kind of hard to answer, because it's like how effectively, like, first of all, if you're running Windows on anything, Windows would make anything slow, okay? And then how intelligent is the software that you're using to utilize the 8 cores that you have? The thing about the Nano is you've got 128 cores, and then you have a really slim, efficient operating system of Linux, or the Ubuntu Linux, okay? And then you've got libraries that are designed to go in and utilize those 128 cores. And also, it doesn't matter how much core processing power you have if you don't have the paths in and the paths out. And that's something that I think Jetson Nano did a really, really good job at, is giving you really large pipes, really large and accessible big pipes in and big pipes out. And so this thing really, really gives you a whole lot of processing power. Okay, if you get stuck, let's see, DM Paul, if you get stuck on any aspect. Okay, I'm not exactly sure there. Hi, hey Charles, how you doing? Welcome. Okay, would you recommend getting Jetson instead of the Raspberry Pi? That's a good question. Okay, I just ordered the Raspberry Pi 4, and I've got the Raspberry Pi 3s, and man, I just don't quite get the Raspberry Pi. It's like it's kind of like, I'm not sure what they want to be. It's like, I don't want a desktop computer that sits there and has 50 cables coming out of it. It just like, is it a desktop computer? If you try to use it in an embedded application, it's really easy to corrupt the card. Like simple things like an on-off switch, you know, things like that aren't there. And so I ordered the Raspberry Pi 4, but it's like, what for? Like maybe if you're interested in gaming or retro gaming and you make a little gaming console, or maybe if you're interested in an entertainment center where you're like streaming video or something, okay, maybe I see it. But I didn't know really what to do with the Pi 2. And so with the Pi 3, I don't know what to do even faster than it was with the 2. And now I've got the Raspberry Pi 4, and like really, really, really very, very fast. I'm just sitting spinning my wheels because I don't know what to do with it. Now the Nano, I get. Okay, I get it, and I see where I'm going with it. Like I have all these crazy ideas in my mind of what I'm going to do with the Nano. It's like artificial intelligence interacting with the real world at the local level. It's like some really exciting things happen. The Arduino, really exciting things going on there. I know where I'm going. I know what I can do. I don't quite get the Raspberry Pi. Now I do kind of like the Pi Zero, which I think there's some cool things that I reached the point that I really don't know where I'm going with or I run out of horsepower on the Arduino, and therefore I can kind of see a place for the Pi Zero. But I'm kind of like, I'm making up my mind. My future direction on some of these advanced projects is going to be with the Nano, and I've already got some really good ones in mind. Okay, would you yes, I would get the Jetson. If you guys are interested, down in my description there's links to the gear that I have on the Nano, and you guys might want to think about starting to put your gear together there. Okay, I'm up for that. I want to learn those things. Okay, good. Start getting your gear put together. Please suggest any good tutorials on OpenCV from scratch. There are no good ones. The problem is on OpenCV, they assume you already have your PhD. So that's what I am going to do. I'm going to teach you how to boot the Nano. I'm going to teach you how to get it configured. I'm going to teach you some Linux. I'm going to teach you Python, and then I'm going to teach you OpenCV. Now, if you already know some of that stuff, that's okay, but we're going to start from absolute zero, and we're going to build up. And then I'm going to show you some cool things that you can do with OpenCV. I'm planning to install Linux Mint on my old laptop with Windows 7 bites the dust. Maybe I should just do a Jetson Nano for my desktop computing needs instead. Well, you know, the Jetson is not really a laptop machine. I mean, putting Linux on an old laptop, I think that's a great idea. In fact, I sometimes wonder, why am I keeping Windows on this computer? This broadcast software that I'm using has to have Windows, so that kind of keeps me on Windows. But man, there's a day's coming that I'm just going to go completely to Linux. Okay, let's see. This is my program that I ran from scratch. Do you want me to run it? Class, you want to see what I did? You want to see my demo? Anybody out there? Does anybody care? Okay. You guys don't want to see my demo? Yeah, I know there's a 30-second lag, so I've got to wait. Let's see. I'm Laud Anderson from Ghana. Hey, Laud, how's it going? How are things in Ghana? I heard, was there like a bank run there recently, or was that a different nearby country? I just heard there was some difficulty in Ghana. I've never been to Ghana, but I would like to visit there. Okay. Thank you very much, Laud. Love it over there in Africa. I love to start from scratch and learn the fundamentals. Okay, yes. Okay, that's why I can't. You want to see my demo? Okay, I'm coming over here. Can you see my mouse now? You see, look at this nice environment I have. This is really nice. And you see I can have different programs up here under different tabs. Okay, and now I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to say run from the Python terminal. Okay, and so I'm going to run it. Okay. And then look at that. All right, so you see me up here. All right. And then what do you see? You see a big black empty screen. And then what do you see? A big black empty screen. And then what do you see? You see another big black empty screen. So you see me live, and then you're seeing all of these different screens that don't have anything on them. In fact, so many that we're not going to be able to look at them all. Okay, so what is this? This is a webcam, okay? And it looks like that in the overall system there's a couple of seconds of latency, but you got to remember with this broadcast stuff, it's going a lot of different crazy directions, but I just see my live camera on the broadcast is maybe a second or two off from the screencast on the Nano, but let's just see 1, 2. No, that's like maybe, what do you think, a half-second latency? 1, 2, maybe a half-second latency, so that's not bad. So this was just starting from scratch. I wrote a program that would fire up a USB camera and and then would start doing image manipulation. Not very interesting right now, but watch this. Okay, watch this. Watch this now. Okay, you see I wrote a program that would recognize and find and track. Okay, so now all those screens that were blank, why were they blank? Because there wasn't a red pin in there. There wasn't a red pin in there, but when the red pin comes in, it finds it, and then do you see in the live image how it puts a box around it? Okay, now the other ones are doing different filtering to try to get the most perfect selection, the most perfect finding of the box that you can. And so I think that that's pretty cool. Now, again, I hope you understand, I didn't just run someone else's program or copy someone's program. I got it configured, I got my environment, I wrote a program, and so now I can do all types of things. Also, that one where you see that it's white, do you see that one where everything is white? That's creating the mask. I create the mask, then I mask everything except the pin, and then I put that image back into the original image, and then I add the blue box around it. Do you see how that's tracking? Look at that. Boom! From scratch. From scratch. I think that that is pretty cool. Okay. Okay, Majid from Ghana. All right, man. It's great to see you. Okay, are those mapping options? Not sure what you're saying on mapping options. Yeah, bet you went boom. You bet I did the happy dance, right? I did the happy dance when I got it working. But once I got my Python environment working, I really knew that I could do it. Then, I mean, once you turned me loose on a good Python environment, I was sure that I could do it. And I started writing code. And so I'm doing simple things that could recognize things. Okay. Now, like, I want you to think, do you see that box? Do you see that box there? What does that mean? That means in the code, let's see if we can come back to the code here real quick. What that means is in the code, where is my environment? Okay, that means in the code I know where, X and Y are. I know where with an X value and a Y value. Look at that. So I know in X and I know in Y. I know the X value and the Y value of this pen tip. Okay, if I know the X and the Y value of this pen tip in real space, what does that mean? Well, since I've got GPIO pins, I could have like servos where I could have something that, like imagine, this is what I'm imagining. This is the target and this thing would point, and I would have a physical object pointing at this object in the real world because of the nano GPIO pins. And that's like really, really exciting to me that I could do something like that, because if I could point at it, then think of all the interesting things that you could put on the servo, and then start thinking about all the crazy projects that you could do. And so I am really excited because I've demonstrated enough to know that I could do very, very interesting projects here. So let's come back over here. Okay, let me see. Do we have any more questions? Okay. Okay, Andy. Okay, yeah. You looking good, sir. Thank you, Okur, Loveday, Richmond. Thank you for saying I'm looking good. I'm feeling good, man. I am feeling really good. I am really, really excited about this. Again, I'll show you here. Here's where we are. No more thunder and lightning, right? We have the happy little clouds. This is how you feel when you get something working. And so that made me feel really, really good. And hey, are you guys, tell me, are you guys also on the, are you guys tuning in to the 9-axis? It looked like we got a lot of people on that project. Are you guys following the 9-axis? Because kind of like one of the exciting things to me is I really see that possibly, I see that 9-axis project possibly really playing in with this, because one of the things that you could use for input to the AI system would be that those quaternions, and then there's just all types of things that start coming to my mind that I could do if I could do that. And so I think the 9-axis is going to be a player in these future projects as well. Okay, and then like if I come back to my windows, let's see if I can get my windows back up. I do not want that. Let's see. Okay, here's my window, right? And this is the one that's tracking. Okay, so to quit, I just click on this and I type Q. All right, and the thing quits. Let's look at this other one here. And this one, what I did is instead of a webcam, I actually have the PyCam working on the Nano. And so let's see if we can make that one run. That, my friend, was not correct. Somehow I ran the same program. Let's come back here to this one, right mouse click, and say run Python file in terminal. Okay, so you see this, my friend, is the PyCam. And you can see that this is the camera that I have looking down on the Pi. So this is my system looking at the Pi, okay? And then this is the Pi looking back at that. But what we can probably do is turn it over here, and now I'm kind of in the view. But that's that little PyCam. So to me, that's really exciting that you got this tiny little postage stamp camera, and that I'm actually interacting with it. And can it find the pin? Boom! Look at that. I'm finding the pin with the PyCam. And so, man, what's really exciting to me about OpenCV is what you can do is in OpenCV, what you can do is you're streaming data from the camera, but you pull it in one frame at a time, and then you manipulate the frame, and then you show it. So it's sort of like you're sitting there between the camera and the display, and that's where the magic happens. And so I am really having a lot of fun with that. That is very, very good. Okay, I love your videos. Very good, Amin. Thank you, Amin. Very good to see you. Charles, yes, can't wait to get my paws on the 9-axis. Okay, yeah, let's see. Charles, did you order it? Did you say it was like you ordered it and it was in customs, or was that someone else? I can't remember if you had it or not. Very interesting in the 9-axis. Okay, you guys, I got kind of a lot of hate on that because I just sort of showed the introduction, and I think people wanted to start coding. Thursday, tomorrow, the next lesson, we'll wire that thing up and get it going, okay? Why have multiple windows with the pen? Okay, that's a good question, and let me try to answer it. What I'm doing is I'm doing different image processing. Okay, so let's just start here. Okay, let's start here. And the thing that you're seeing with me in it, that's the end. That's the composite thing where I put everything. But the first thing is I have to find the pen. And so that is that black with white, right? That is that. This one right here. I hope you can see that. That's this one. And then though, do you see over here, can you guys see all this noise? These little white dots that shouldn't be there. I've got to get rid of that. So I come in and like this was a closing mask where I try to close off certain things. You can still see I have errors there, right? I still got errors. And then I do different masking. This one, this opening mask, look at that. You see it finding it, it's finding it well, and I've gotten rid of most of the noise. But like all of these, I probably would not have all of these different things, but I'm trying different filtering techniques to have the best, sharpest understanding of where, I get lost where the camera is, of where that thing is, and not having any false signals, okay? And so I'm comparing different filters, but in the end application, I would just use one filter. Okay, so Charles got his 9-axis. Well, that is great. So you'll be ready for that lesson tomorrow, and we will be hooking that thing up, okay? We will indeed be hooking that thing up. Let's see. What happened there? Let me try this one more time. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm trying to manage a lot of different things here all at the same time. So let me come over here. I'll get back to your questions in just a second. Man, the other thing is when I'm using the Nano and the PC at the same time, and there's two different mice, invariably I grab the wrong mouse and the wrong keyboard. So again, guys, I hope you guys are gonna join us on this. Remember this. Remember this? All right. Let's see. I got to flip this thing around here so we're in the... There it is. That's pretty good. Look at that. Okay. So this is the 9-axis project, and this thing is going to really kick off in earnest tomorrow. Seems like there's some really good interest. I've had quite a few people that have expressed interest, and I think a number of you have your gear already, and so that'll be good. So this is back over here to the Nano and this project. Let's see if you guys have any more questions here. Let's see where we are on questions. Okay. Or a MyBus address. Okay. I'm not sure what the question is on the MyBus address. Are you filtering for red or the shape? Okay, Film Factory, you're getting into the nuts and bolts. I'm finding red, okay? And that was just the easiest way to get started because I didn't want to do a bunch of training. I just wanted to see, can I find X and Y and can I interact with it? And color was the easiest way to do it. So you see if I put something else, where is my camera? If I put something else up here that's red, it will track it. But you see I have really good delineation if I put things that aren't red. And it's a pretty bright red that works. It's a pretty specific color of red that actually works. I could also do shape, and then beyond that, then you start doing your training and you start having your cascades. Okay, but if I can do this, then it's just a matter of, instead of filtering on color, filtering on a cascade. Then it gets into building cascades. But you see, you have enough success. you have enough success that you kind of get in this happy mode that motivates you. You see, you get in the happy mode that it motivates you to go on. I swear, I was to the point that I was thinking, I'm never going to learn this, and I'm never going to be able to teach it to anybody, and I better just quit now. But yes, I will do that. Okay, Charles, not the cheapest way, but still way less than most people spend in a bar in one night. Oh yeah, man. Or like what people spend on video games or what people spend on nonsense. It's just like, this is a little more pricey than other platforms, but man, those of us with electronics and programming as a hobby, we spend a lot less than people who go bar hopping or, you know, play golf or have a motorboat or something like that. Okay. Do you save the red tip image, then compare it? No. What I do is I adjust the parameters. Let's come back over here and let me show you. Again, way too many mice here to keep track of. Let's look in the code and let me kind of show you a little bit over here in the code view what we're doing. Can you guys read this? Do I need to make my font bigger? Are you able to read this? Okay. So let's see in this code up here. What I am doing is, you know how colors are RGB for red, green, blue? Well, for this, it's easier to use HSV, hue, saturation, and value. And then what I am doing is I am playing around with my hue, saturation, and value numbers. Okay, do you see here I'm setting ranges of hue, saturation, and value, and I do that such that it always gets the red, but it doesn't get other red. So I want it wide enough that it will always nail it, but not so wide that it starts getting noise in the background. So I sort of define this, and I did it just with playing around, but the way we're going to do it is we're going to make slider bars, and we're going to put the object of interest, and then we're going to slide those slider bars until it just absolutely nails it. So tweaking these parameters is part of what we're doing. Okay, a cascade is this enormous data set that, like, imagine that you took 1,000 images of what you're interested in, like 1,000 images of watches, and then you had 1,000 images of things that aren't watches, and then you just turn this huge processing power loose on it where it just churns and churns and churns and churns and churns, and it learns what a watch is and it learns what a watch isn't, and then when it sees a scene, it sees if it sees something that it infers as a watch. But the reason it's hard is, like, look at this, it could be this. You see, like, think of all the different angles that the watch could be, and then think of all the different things that are watches, and then think of things that are not watches that are maybe similar to a watch, like maybe a digital or an analog thermometer or something like that. So the cascade is affect the output of the training, because you couldn't train in real time because it's too computationally intensive. So you've got to create the image database, you have to train it on that database, and then you have to use the sort of trained model. Okay, I wonder if you can use a Wi-Fi or ham sensor instead of a camera to automatically track. That would be interesting. Again, we've got the GPIO pins, and then we've got the horsepower, so you can use different sensors, you can do the computations, and then different outputs. Yeah, I mean, I'll go through this with you. This isn't ready for you to download yet because it's just done, but if we do lessons, then I will do it. Okay, I will do it. All right. Let's see. Is this capable of learning that red pin just by showing it the pin, or it must be defined in your code? Well, you see, that's the whole thing. Like right now, I'm just training it by picking the color and having it match the color. The next thing is we could teach it to recognize the pin based on the overall parameters, which would be the shape and the color and the writing and all those things. You could train it based on that. And then you could train it like more broadly, where let's say that you could show it and it would say that's a red pin, that's a blue pin, that's a green pin. So there's all different ways to train it, but I want to get to the point that we're doing something, because you'll lose interest and just give up all hope before you start getting results. So we've got to have it where we're getting those little happy results as we go along. Okay. All right. So if you guys are interested, some of you guys think, if I see, again, links down below for the gear that I have. If you want to play along, you've at least got to have the Nano. You have to either have a USB camera or the PiCam. You really need the case. The case is $16. That includes the fan, so that's not bad. And then you need a good power supply, because this thing draws 4 amps. You need a good power supply. You could use your own keyboard. You could use your own mouse. You could use your own cables. You could use all those things yourself, but you really need the case with the fan. You need some sort of camera, and you need the Jetson Nano. I would get I broke down and I got those little mini SD cards all over the place, but I got a big new fast one, just so that, as you're dealing with something like this, you don't want to be slowed down by a doofus memory card. Okay, this has been pretty fun, you guys. We're going on 43 minutes here, and I need to get back to work, so I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys tune in tomorrow. We'll do another 9-axis tomorrow. Coming Tuesday, we'll do another of the first series of Arduinos, and I just start needing to get feedback from you guys whether it would be worth me doing a lesson on this on this Nano or not. I look on YouTube, and the lessons that are out there on artificial intelligence and the Nano, they don't get very many views. Almost no one's doing it. But then the question is it that nobody's doing it because it's too hard, and the guys are kind of like not real friendly? Like, I asked someone a question on the forums the other day, and they didn't answer my question. They sort of kind of chided me. And with the energy that they expended in chiding me, they could have at least pointed me in the right direction. And so sometimes these guys are so smart, they don't have time to waste on people like us that aren't, already PhD artificial intelligent computer scientists. And so maybe it would be more popular if there's someone who was a little friendlier and go a little slower that would get them up to speed. So give me some feedback if that would be something you guys would be interested in. If I did a series on artificial intelligence on the Nano, would there be people following along? Bottom line is, it was very hard for me to learn it. It was very, very hard for me to learn it to get started. But once I started having the breakthrough, now I'm just extremely excited. And I can take you guys step by step through it, so you won't have to go through all the pain I did. So give me some feedback about whether you guys are going to be interested in this or not. You guys, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, make sure that you've hit the little bell so you get notifications. Share this with other people. Let's see if we can get more people working on this stuff. Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.